And a reminder, use funds that you can afford to lose because there's a good possibility you're going to lose something. Question is, can you make more than you lose after you add in all of your expenses? And this is a business best learned over time to get some experience, to get educational ideas, and then learn how to execute them as well. And that takes just as long as learning the core competencies. Take a look at the chart that we've looked at before. This was the big boys chart where they closed a couple of gaps, bang. And you'll note that we have been trading inside of that range ever since. Just below, down in here, obviously, for some RTH type trades. But we've still stayed inside this range, and the market tends to do that a lot. Despite the fact we can go from A to B to C, there's still going to be times when we spend quite a bit of time in a range. And so you want to take off all of those ideas. We'd said make sure you paid 21s to 22s if you're long, right? And obviously coming this way, we said you got to be done by the 15s at 18 to 15 zone. So realistically, when you look at a bigger picture without too much on there, then you can see the core and the meat of the range. So without all the spaghetti lines and all the other lines, the only things that I've marked here were these gaps, right? And then the excursion below it. And we had another gap, right, down here now. So realistically, this one last line that I have left here was the scene of the crime. And so we're trying to say, okay, after the news event, what's happened? And that's the purpose of this line. And we can see we got above it. Yesterday we said, hey, if we get above it, good fortune above 28, got good fortune, and then all the way back down to test the bottom, then to bounce up. But today we have not been able to get back up there yet. And there's about an hour to go, less than an hour. And we know that it's been a great month for the longs. And I said today, maybe at some point we get a little bit of profit taking, but we're going to think neutrally no matter what. So far, that's what's happened. So I said, I think it's hurting the longs right now that we've not been able to punch higher. We've double topped and then, back into the umbrella trade. We'll take a look at that again. But these charts are very helpful for perspective because there's not that much distracting your eyes. You're just trying to see if you can understand a pattern that makes sense. And here's a pattern that we talked about, that the longs need to get above the blue line or they're still in the umbrella pattern. Okay, notice the uptrending line that I put over here before. We've suggested that this lunch low is a key low for now, 15.5. And if you are short side, we suggested make sure paid coming into this 15.5, 16 area. And we have recommended no trades for our traders for this last hour. So if you were buying, you would use this 15, the 16 area as a support. On the other side, we're going to use obviously that 24 as resistance, and paid for sure by 22s up here, 21s, if you were playing long side. And we just think that now is not a good time for us to be in the market. If we've got our work done, great. And if not, then wait till next week. Talked about the possibility of a Doji close somewhere between 2022. And anybody that has had a good contra for lunch and a good afternoon should also want to get paid. And a really tough thing to do as a trader is jump in as the market really starts to move, especially if you think you're in a range. Just whipsaws you back and forth. And this box, we said, let's use this to depict our current range that we think we're in. And the market has to blink and knock out these sides before anything else happens. And what you don't want to do is have a reasonable day or a good day and then mess up in the last hour and give it all back. So we'd said if you play, risk no more than 10% of what you won, if anything. And if you have not done anything today, now's not a good time to start. Hope that helps.